time just to make sure that my grandchildren know that I'm finally trying to get this stuff, all this material, especially like the plastic straw, the plastic utensils, the coffee container. But I love having to give up these metal hangers, the tops off of containers, the canned sodas.
Oh, if only I could show Grandma how to recycle right. Wow! Who are you?
I'm Recycle Girl, and I think I can help. Your grandma is confused, like so many other residents. Recycling has changed a lot in the past decade, and it can be hard to keep up. It's time to rethink recycling and get back to the basics. The definition of recycling is taking something old and turning it into something new. But if you can't turn something into something new, is it really recyclable?
No.
Your grandma is making the same mistake many other residents do. She's over-ambitious about what can be recycled in the City of Tampa recycling program. And she's bagging her recycling. The problem is a lot of the items that people think can be recycled do more harm than good. Items like plastic bags, bag recycling, metal coat hangers, some of the items your grandma put in the recycling. Items that can be recycled in the City of Tampa curbside recycling program include plastic bottles and containers, steel, tin, and aluminum cans, cartons, paperboard, paper, that includes phone books and magazines, and cardboard. And all items need to be placed loose and free in the cart, not bagged.
Like my grandma did.
Recycling right means participating by putting more of the right items in the recycling and not contaminating by putting in the wrong items.
Just because something is plastic or metal doesn't mean it goes into recycling.
We are going to show your grandma that not everything can just magically be recycled. If she and the other residents of the City of Tampa know what happens behind the scenes, I bet you they will know how important it is to recycle right. After all, you are the first step in the recycling process.
I'm the first step?
That's right, you are. That's why it's so important that you get it right. In fact, all of our residents are. Now let's go show them why it's so important to recycle right. We have arrived at the MRF, or Material Recovery Facility. This is where all the magic happens. This is where your recycling is sorted using a series of machines, technology, and humans, all working to get your recycling where it needs to go to become something new. Oh great, there's my good friend Melissa Baldwin, Community Relations Representative with Waste Management. Maybe she can show us around the facility. Melissa.
Hey, Alita.
I have some residents in the City of Tampa that want to learn how to recycle right. Do you think you could show us around the facility?
Absolutely. I'd be happy to show you around. Here at Waste Management, we recycle about 550 tons of material every single day. Let's go ahead and give you a tour. The first thing that we do when the trucks come to our facility is we weigh them. We weigh them because we want to know what's coming in and what's going out and being sold as a new material. And so after we weigh the materials, we dump them out into our tipping floor. After the materials are dumped, they are moved around and they're put on what's called our main feed conveyor. After the materials go up the main feed conveyor, they go to what's called our pre-sort. This is our first line of defense. These are people who are looking for anything that cannot or should not be put into the recycling, things that we call contamination. And it's our job to keep contamination as low as possible. Things like Christmas lights and plastic bags are typical contamination.
Here we are at the first machine, the star screen. This machine is used to sort out paper and cardboard, or what we call fiber. The spinning discs allow the paper and other flat fiber items to float over it, while everything else falls in between, continuing along on the belt.
So what do you think happens, Alita, when somebody puts a plastic bag, a metal chain, or even clothing into the recycling bin?
It gets all wrapped up around the star screens, jamming up the machines. Plastic bags are our #1 culprit.
That's right, and so workers have to spend valuable time cleaning these screens. That takes away time from recycling the good materials, and it's unsafe. So it's important to reduce contamination like plastic bags.
So remember, do not place plastic bags, film, or wrap in the recycling. And do not bag your recyclables either.
This is the next machine on our stop. This is the density separator. This is the machine that we use to separate glass. We use fine metal screens to separate the glass, and then we use puffs of air to knock them through into the proper bunker.
While glass is still accepted in the City of Tampa recycling program, the future of recycling glass is unknown.
That's right, because what is glass made out of?
Sand.
And do we have a shortage of sand?
No, definitely not here in the Tampa Bay area.
The other problem that we have with glass is that small pieces of glass end up in the bales of other material, contaminating them and reducing their value.
Keep small objects out of your recycling cart. If it's smaller than a golf ball, don't put it in. Also, no shredded paper.
These belts are all moving at 180 feet per minute. And what do you think happens to shredded paper when it's moving that fast? It becomes like confetti in our MRF, and it ends up as litter or debris. And so the proper thing to do with your shredded paper is either put it in the garbage, or you can take it back to a bank or a financial institution.
Now it's time to get magnetized. Ferrous metal, metal that contains iron, such as your soup cans and your tuna fish cans, are picked up by a giant magnet.
That's right, but we only want steel and metal cans, not scrap metal or other metal objects that could damage our equipment.
Scrap metal should be taken to a scrap metal recycler, not put in your recycling container.
Just because something is metal does not mean it should go into the recycling bin. One time we had somebody put a lawnmower blade into the recycling. It damaged and broke a $10,000 belt. So scrap metal items should be taken back to a scrap metal recycler, not put in your recycling bin.
Now we have arrived at the optical sorter, or giant eyeball.
It's not really a giant eyeball. The way this machine works is that it shines an infrared light on the materials below the belt. The light bounces back and the computer can read the signal. It can tell what type of material it is, whether it's paper or plastic, or even what type of plastic it is. Then it uses a puff of air to separate the material.
That puff of air is not strong enough to move the material if it contains liquids. So make sure all of your recycling is clean and dry before you put it in your recycling container.
So this optical sorter can actually tell the difference between a #1 or a #2 plastic. You can too. If you take your plastic bottle and look at the bottom, you can usually find the little recycling symbol. That's how you know what type of plastic it is.
While most plastics, numbers 1 through 7, are accepted in the City of Tampa recycling program, number 1s and 2s have the highest value and therefore the highest level of recyclability.
So that's right. We want people to recycle often and recycle right. And that means making sure that more of these plastic bottles get into the bin. Sadly, did you know that only 3 out of every 10 water bottles actually gets recycled? So we can do more to make sure that those get recycled right.
So make sure you recycle your water bottles, your milk jugs, your detergent containers, and other number 1 and 2's plastics so they can become new bottles, backpacks, toys, etc.
Some plastics, even if they are 1 through 7, cannot be put in the curbside recycling at all.
Remember those plastic bags? You also can't recycle plastic silverware, plastic straws, plastic hampers, plastic bumpers, plastic binders, plastic toys, plastic signs.
Well, you get the point. Just because something is plastic does not mean that you should put it into your recycling bin. We always like to say, when in doubt, throw it out. If you're not sure if that item can go in the recycling, it's best to throw it in the garbage. One bad straw or bad apple can spoil the whole bunch. type of metal that did not get picked up by our giant magnet.
Aluminum, because it's not a ferrous metal.
That's right, but it is the most valuable commodity in the stream.
Aluminum can be recycled forever. And when you recycle an aluminum can, it can become a brand new can back on the shelf in just 60 days.
That's right. We save 95% of the energy and water that goes into creating that can if we would have done so from scratch. So recycling aluminum is incredibly important. We save enough electricity recycling one can to power a laptop for 3 hours or power a TV for 2 hours. Aluminum is separated from the stream using a revolutionary new technology called the eddy current.
Ah, more magic.
No, it's still not magic. It works like the opposite of a magnet. So the eddy current actually repels the aluminum and pushes it off the belt to separate the material.
Much like the repelling force that occurs when you try to push together two opposing magnets.
That's exactly right. So that force is not strong enough to repel heavy metal objects, only cans and aluminum foil.
That's right, you can recycle aluminum foil and pans. Just make sure they're completely clean and have no food contamination on them.
Keep all other metal objects outside of your recycling, just cans and foil.
Other metal objects can be taken to a scrap metal recycler.
Once all of the items are separated into their bunkers, they're baled and then they're shipped both domestically and internationally to companies who will make them into new products, completing the life cycle process.
Contamination, or material that is not recyclable, does not have anywhere to be shipped to, though, to become something new.
If contamination actually ends up in a bale, it can ruin the whole bale, wasting the time and energy spent sorting that recycling.
It is so important that only the right materials go in your recycling container.
When in doubt, throw it out.
Your trash is still put to good work, producing electricity at the McKay Bay Waste to Energy facility.
Recycling is not magic.
But it certainly is magical when done correctly.
Recycling saves trees and energy, and it also reduces carbon emissions.
Recycling right also saves money for your community.
Just because something is plastic or metal does not mean that you should put it in your recycling bin.
Participate, don't contaminate. We can recycle right, Tampa.